Alright, hello everybody. As you can see here on the dining room table, I have all of the basil that we had grown in our planter outside, and plus there's a little bit here from Mom and Dad's, just so I know I'd have enough. And having used some basil last weekend, I know we're starting to get to the point where it's flowering, and so I'm ready to put some of this away in the freezer and have basil throughout the year. So I thought I'd make a video on how to do that. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. I'm going to be using a method where we strip it off of the plants, just the leaves, chop it up, and put it in ice cube trays, and you use olive oil, and then just freeze it overnight, and then the next morning you take it apart, and you've got little cubes of basil, and then you just put it in a plastic bag, and you can always just toss it in if you're making spaghetti sauce or whatever you're doing. So I'm going to start off by getting all of the leaves off of this, because I don't need the stems and the flowers, and then we'll go from there. And just to save you the time of having to sit here and watch it, I'll just show you the process. Kind of looks like this. There's some leaves. There we go. So just imagine that, a couple hundred more times, and that's what I'm going to be doing off of camera. And I'll be back in a few minutes once I've got this broken down and ready to start getting chopped. Alright, so here's a bowl, our first round of the basil, and there's still a lot more out there. We're just going to start with this, see what I have time for, of course. And basically what I'm going to do, take these leaves, and I'm going to chop them up real fine. Now I've seen some people put it in a blender and make it into almost like a pesto. I'm not really looking to go that fine with this. I'm just looking to chop it up really nice, and so I can put it in with the ice cube trays later. But we'll easy way to do this, let me get a few of these out here. Take a few of the leaves. It helps if they're all similar size. But if you stack up a few leaves, and then go across them all together with your knife, put it up pretty fine. Anything you see that's big, you can chop it down a little bit. You're just looking for a nice fine chop. And now I may, since I have so much, I may do a batch of it in the blender just to show the difference between the two, just to kind of give you an idea what they look like. But right now I'm looking to just get enough. I think I've got 2 or 3 ice cube trays. I may fill them both up, or all of them up. I don't know yet. We'll see what we've got, because I've got a lot of basil. I had more than I expected to have, so. Alright, so a minute ago I opted to give the blender a try, and I was actually impressed. It turned out real well. We've got one of these little magic bullets. Love this thing for a smoothie, but, fill it up with your basil. Now you're going to have to work it a little bit. You can't just put it down in here and push down and it work. You're going to have to shake it, move it. But it really did a good job, so I'll just real quick show you. I mean, you can definitely use a little blender like this to get your basil done. You can see there, you got it chopped up pretty good. Let me take the top off. I mean, it did just as good as the knife was doing. So I may run the rest of this through the blender, and then I'll show you sticking it in the freezer and what we need to do to have it ready for a year-round basil supply. Alright, So you can see what we ended up with here. I mean, you can see the blender mashed it up pretty good and fine. That's what we were chopping. I like, you know, I thought it'd be a good idea to have a mixture of this really, really fine mixed in with this chopped basil. Just a good group. But anyway, what I've got over here, got my ice cube trays. I don't think I'll need them all, so I'm going to set these over here. And I've got these two to work with first. And if I need more, I'll grab the others. But what I'm going to do is take the ice cube trays. I'm going to put so much of each, you know, each little cube is going to have not quite half, around half of your basil. And then you're going to go over the top of it with olive oil. Now I've seen people use water, but I've also heard that olive oil helps seal in the flavor for better and for longer. I don't know because I've not done it, so we're going to try it with olive oil, and you know, maybe next year we'll try it with water and we'll see if there's a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll have to throw these in the freezer, and of course I'll have to show you how they turn out tomorrow because they won't be frozen anytime soon. So I'm going to get started with it. So yeah, it ended up 2 trays, not bad. So I opted to bring it over here to the counter to put the olive oil and stuff in, just to not to make such a mess on the table like there isn't one already. But one thing also I forgot to mention, it's a good thing to have this, actually great tool for it, just a chopstick. That way as you pour your olive oil in, you can use this to move around if you need to help it settle a little bit here or there. So I'm going to take my olive oil, and first I'm going to go in, and you don't want to fill, if you can help it, all the way up. You just want to cover up your herbs. So like, you do one at a time. The first one. That one is with olive. Well, let me put a hair more in that one just to. Alright, so that one's the first one with olive oil. I mean, it's, like I said, it's filled up. Should be good. And what I've decided to do, let me move this over here, is I think, since, you know, I've got 2 ice cube trays, I'm going to take this one and put water in this one. So I'm going to have water cubes, and then I'll have olive oil over there. And then, like I said, we'll just know the difference between the 2 of them. I mean, we'll know if the water ones stay fresh or not. So, give me just a second. I'm going to put water in this, and I'll bring it right back. Alright. So, here's the one with the water. Same thing. We'll take this and just kind of give it a, push it down a little bit. I got a little bit much in a couple of these, but it'll be okay. But anyway, so I've got 1 full tray that is olive oil, and I've got 1 full tray that is water. And so we are going to know, well, once we pull them out of the trays, you're going to know which one's which. The ice cubes are going to freeze solid, whereas the olive oil is not going to make a solid hard cube. It'll be more of a soft cube, or soft olive oil cube, I guess you call it, but it won't be a frozen solid piece. But so I'm going to throw these in the freezer and let them freeze overnight, and tomorrow morning we'll come back and we'll look and see how they look. And if they're frozen solid and ready to go, we'll pop them out and put them in different bags, and there you go. You'll have basil for the winter. So I'll be back tomorrow morning, and we'll see what we've got after, well, 20 hours. Alright, so welcome back. I just got home from work. It's right now about midnight, so I'm trying not to be too loud. Everybody in the house is asleep. But I pulled these out, and they are definitely frozen solid. Now, one thing I will say, I didn't think about it earlier, but just came to me while I was working at night. This would probably be a lot easier If you were using the ice cube trays that are pliable, you know, they're made of rubber or silicone or whatever they are. As it is, I use these hard plastic ones. Might be a little difficult to get them out, I don't know. I just thought about it today. It'd probably be a lot easier if I had used that kind of ice cube tray. But anyway, you can see the difference. These are the ones that are in the olive oil, and then obviously the ones in the water, these solid ice cube looking ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can't get these out. And okay, maybe so. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Taken. Alright, so here is a bag of basil cubes, and these are the ones that are in water. You see? I'm going to set them aside. Obviously we're going to have to clean these ice trays because they're kind of dingy and ugly looking now. And then these, of course, are the ones in the olive oil. They may come out. Let's see. The first ones came out easier than I thought they were going to, so let's see if these want to make my night a little easier. Let's see. Here we go. Well, there we go. Whoop, everybody in there. And last one. Alright, so there we go. Alright. And just to show, I mean, this is what you end up with. This is the olive oil one, obviously. It's kind of slick like butter, rather than being an ice cube. But the idea is, I've got all my basil frozen now. I have to clean up afterwards. So I can stick these in the freezer, and if you're cooking marinara, you're cooking pizza, you're cooking lasagna, whatever, you grab one or two of these, and there's your basil stored in the freezer. And it makes it so that you can keep using what you grew rather than let it go to waste. So anyway, this was a combination video. We finally got it finished, and I imagine, I haven't looked up, but I imagine that you could do this with really any herb. I don't see why you couldn't use oregano or that sort of thing. But these are the 2 bags that I got out of that big bowl of basil. You can tell I just got off work, I'm tired. So I'm gonna put these in the freezer, clean up, and thinking I'm gonna be out hiking tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. That's usually when I try to do my hikes. So alright, thanks for hanging out. This is a good way to store your basil rather than let it go to waste. Everybody have a good night. See you tomorrow.